What's up, guys? I'm Jim Ansel, this is Real Deal Outdoors, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this video. All right, so before we jump into this thing, I just wanted to let you guys know I got a website up finally. You guys can check it out over at www.realdealoutdoorstv.com. There's some merchandise up on there that you guys can buy to support the channel. We got all kinds of different stuff up there. I've got some hats that are available on there right now. I've also got several t-shirt designs on there for you guys to check out. There's several custom designs. I illustrated these things myself, so you're not gonna find shirts like them anywhere else. And I got a couple of them here. Let me show you guys what I got going on. So one of them we have available on there is the Tiki Bass, and this is a front graphic design. So you guys can check that out. That's a pretty cool one. And we've also got the scribbled bass up on there, which is a pretty cool one. This particular one's not the final design that's on the site. There's a couple of adjustments that I made that you guys will see on the website, but this one's up on there. And with these shirts, you get the Real Deal logo up on the breast. So that's pretty cool. So you guys make sure to head on over there and check that out. I really appreciate it. All the profits that I make off of t-shirt designs and hats and stuff are going to go directly back into making this channel better. Different stuff like buying new equipment, taking some fishing trips, going to some places that I'd love for you guys to see and experience, and also buying some crazy lures to do some more Test Tank Tuesdays and stuff like that. So you guys make sure you head on over there and check that stuff out. Again, I really appreciate it. 15% of the proceeds are also going to go to an event that I do with my church every year. It's called the Knott's Island Youth Big Bass Classic. And what that is it's kind of a little bass tournament that we do for the kids in the area. But it's more of a day just for kids and their parents to get together and be in the outdoors and spend some time together and get to fish together. So there's also a blog over there, and I'm doing my best to keep up with it. I'm trying to add some more contributors so that we've got more content flowing on a more regular basis. It's just meant to be another resource for you guys, kind of an extension of the channel. Also, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy this video. Also, make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I always tell you guys there's all kinds of cool stuff coming down the pipe, and there really is. It's just been, this summer has been crazy. It's been one thing after another. The entire month of July, I pretty much spent being sick. I had a really nasty sinus infection at the beginning of the month that lasted a couple of weeks. And then right after that, I got the shingles, and I had that for a couple of weeks. I finally have healed up mostly from the shingles, but I've got a lot of residual pain. And the reason that is because the shingles actually attacks your nerves. And I've got some nerve damage. So there's some spots on my lip that are dead. Like I've got no feeling whatsoever at all. You can pinch the crap out of it. I don't feel anything. I've also got some spots on the side of my face that if you touch them, it's like setting my face on fire. They just light up. And so that's something that I'm still dealing with. It's an ongoing thing. It's been hard to create content like this, guys. I'm in a lot of pain. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, guys, and you probably didn't know what I was talking about, but I'm going to get some hate for this video. We're going to get kind of into the politics of bass fishing, and we're going to cover one of the most contentious topics in the sport. And that's whether or not it's ethical for you to keep bass to eat. You don't have to go too far on social media to find photos of people's stringers. And inevitably, when you scroll down to the comment section, you're going to find comment after comment of keyboard warriors just absolutely tearing this person apart for keeping a couple of bass to eat. The vitriol of these people is unbelievable. For a bass fisherman to tear another bass fisherman down for doing something that's well within the laws and regulations of their state, I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid. And there are some very solid reasons that I believe that. So let's start out with some of the things that you see people say in the comments section. And one of the bigger ones that I see all the time is, well, why would you keep a bass and eat it? Because bass are trash fish. They taste terrible. Why would you keep them? It's like a waste. Well, what I would say to you guys is that is a very subjective statement. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that the next guy doesn't like something. And I will say I'm one of those people that doesn't keep bass out of my fishery to eat them. And that's because oftentimes the taste of a bass has to do with where they're coming from. I live in a very marshy area. This whole area sometimes smells like sulfur. When you're coming across the Marsh Causeway some nights, it smells like one big fart. And a lot of times the bass that you catch out of here, when you cook them up and you eat them, they taste like low tide on a hot day. And I just don't like the taste of them. So I don't keep them. However, if I'm fishing in a really clean fishery, if I'm fishing in a river up in Virginia, like where I fish with my granddad, and it's super crystal clear. There's not a lot of pollutants in the water. Those bass come out of there tasting fantastic. It's like night and day, guys. It's two completely different tastes. It's a really nice flaky white fish. There's no gamey taste whatsoever, and they're delicious. So for you guys out there, if you don't have a taste for bass, like I said, that doesn't mean that the next guy doesn't. I'd also urge you to try a bass out of a different fishery. If you're fishing somewhere like I am, and the bass just don't taste good to you, try bass out of a crystal clear, pollutant-free fishery. I mean, it could be a totally different experience. So the other main thing that I see all the time, and this is really the big one, that's that you're catching all the fish, man. You're not going to leave any bass for us to catch. Or if you keep catching bass like that, we're not going to have any trophy bass. They're not going to grow big enough. All right, so to rebut this argument, I'm going to get a little more scientific on you guys. I think it's important for everybody to have a basic understanding of wildlife management, of fishery management, and we're going to talk a little bit about that right now. Because in terms of fishery management, that argument really doesn't make any sense, and I'm about to tell you why. All right, so I'm going to start this off by telling y'all this doesn't apply to all fisheries. This is mainly going to apply to your smaller lakes, ponds, but generally speaking, this is how things work. All right, so a single bass in a single season can produce up to 20,000 eggs. So if you're talking about a smaller area like a lake or a pond, how many female bass do you think are in that fishery? How many of them are going to spawn? Now, not all of those eggs are going to survive, of course, and then not all of the fish that hatch from those eggs are going to reach maturity. There are a lot of variables that you have to take into account. However, for bass to grow to their full potential, they've got to have an abundance of forage. Now, if you're fishing in a lake or a pond where no one ever keeps any of the fish, it's strictly catch and release, you're going to wind up with an abundance of bass in there. That could potentially lead to overcrowding. Now, what overcrowding basically is, it means there's a certain amount of forage, okay, within this ecosystem. And there's a ton of bass that are all competing for the same forage. And when you have a situation like that, what tends to happen is you're going to get a lot of bass between 8 and 12 inches long, and they're not going to get any bigger than that. You know, they're going to have just enough forage in there to survive because there's so many bass in there and they're all competing for the same food. And if you're a guy who cares more about quantity than quality, maybe that's totally fine for you. If you love going out and just catching 30 or 40 bass in a day, all of them being dinks, more power to you, man. But a lot of us are trophy hunters. If you're a trophy fisherman, if you want to go after those big bass, those 8+ pound bass, you need to thin out the pack a little bit. Now, if there's less bass competing for that forage, they're going to grow to be bigger sized bass. Now, if you're fishing in these smaller lakes or ponds, another telltale sign that you've got overcrowding is if you're catching monstrous bluegill. A lot of times if you're catching those great big monster bruiser bluegill, it's because the bass aren't big enough in that fishery to eat those bluegill. You know, so there's a balance there, and generally speaking, it's not a bad thing for people to keep bass out of their fishery. Now, absolutely, there's going to be people out there who take advantage of that and who abuse it, and if you see somebody doing that, by all means, call them out. You know, I can tell you stories about right here where I'm from. We used to have one of the best bass fisheries in the country, no lie. This place used to be called Sportsman's Paradise, and we would have people come from all over the country. I'm talking about dignitaries. You had presidents who used to come here to hunt and fish, celebrities, sports stars, all kinds of athletes. They would come down here to this island to hunt and fish because we had some of the best in the country. Well, there were also a lot of people coming here from all over the country, catching coolers full, hundreds of fish. No way that they could possibly eat them all, and they would keep everything. Now, you can't sustain a fishery that way for very long. You know, that's part of the reason nowadays we've got the Wildlife Resource Commission. They employ biologists. These biologists go out and they sample the populations in the fisheries, and they determine bag limits, size regulations, and stuff like that. So as long as people are sticking to the rules and regulations that have been set forth by their state and local government, there should never be any problem. Now, having said all that, if you do happen to catch one of those great big stud largemouth, I'd recommend you throw that guy back. Why is that? That's because that bass has really good genes. That's a fish that you want to have spawning in your fishery. You know, the best thing for you to do in that situation, if you want to keep a trophy, make sure that you get really good measurements, make sure you get detailed photos, and then hire yourself a killer taxidermist to make you a really good replica mount. So why exactly did I want to cover this topic in a video, knowing that I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for it? To be honest, guys, I'm just tired of seeing people get beat up day after day online, especially on Facebook and in groups and stuff, where fishermen are just tearing other fishermen apart and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm not fond of keyboard warriors. We're living in a time where so many people are like, you know, it's either my way or no way. You know, you either believe what I believe in or you're wrong. I think that it's ridiculous, and I think that people need to call it out. And the fact remains, guys, no matter how you feel about the subject, If Joe Blow, who lives halfway across the country, wants to keep 3 or 4 fish to feed his family, as long as he's within his state and local regulations, it's really none of your damn business. And so, I guess that's all I've got to say about that. So listen guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I'm probably going to get more thumbs down on this video than I have on any other video, but it is what it is. You know, I call it like I see it. You know, and these aren't just concepts that I'm just pulling out of the air. I do have a basic understanding of wildlife management. I live on an island where literally half the island is a wildlife refuge, and I've lived here for more than 30 years of my life. You know, if you're somebody who wants to fact check anything that I said in this video, by all means, go online, do your research. But anyway, like I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There's going to be some cool videos coming up for sure. I've got a boat project going on out back. I just haven't been able to get the boat done. I planned on getting it done by June. And of course I broke that deadline and broke several other deadlines between here and there. There's just been so much stuff going on, man. Life happens. But now I'm over the shingles. It looks like my schedule's about to clear out a little bit. I'm going to have some more time to create content for you guys. So look for more videos to be coming on a more regular basis. Also, like I said, make sure you guys go and check out the website. Again, it's www.realdealoutdoorstv.com. I've got the merch available on there. I've got the blog going on there. So you guys can go check all that stuff out. I'd really appreciate you doing that. It's a great way for you to support this channel. If you believe in what's going on here and you want to see this channel keep growing and this community keep growing, please go on over there and do that. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you sticking with me, and tight lines until next time.